My father refused to tell me why he had my mother arrested before I was born. When he snapped at me for moving out, he said I was just like my mother, so I decided to figure out exactly what my mom did. My father told me to get a good education all my life so that I would get him and I out of poverty. My father had my mother arrested shortly after I was born for some reason, and he decided to raise me himself. Ever since I was young, he enforced school into me and pressured me to do my best so he wouldn't have to slave away at his job anymore. After school I had to do mandatory 3 hours of studying and homework every day. If I had no homework, I had to go to Kumon and get ahead of my class. Since I was usually ahead, I was separated from my classmates and was placed into the honors programs where people didn't like me very much. I always felt like an imposter and hated being in class, but if I were to slip or get anything short of an A, my father would grab whatever was nearest to him and wail at me. I spent a lot of mornings covering his marks with makeup and going to school pretending like nothing happened. When I got to high school, I started to crash. I was used to my father's antics, so I just took his beatings and let my grades slip. I was tired of trying to keep up with everyone else and tired of thinking there was no room for failure. That lifestyle was lonely. So when I didn't graduate with any academic scholarships and only placed in the top 50, my father didn't attend my graduation. When I got home, he told me that I failed and that college would not be an option for me. I pleaded with him, saying I could get the financial aid to go to a state university or community college. He said that he didn't raise me to be poor and going there would set me up for poverty. Without digressing me, he had already enrolled me in a 7-month welding program. So while all my classmates had their graduation parties and flew to other countries to celebrate, I was constantly disinfecting my hands from the burns of my blowtorch. During this entire time, my father didn't talk to me, and I was coming to terms with this being my life. I worked 4 days a week with 14-hour shifts for decent money. I didn't have anything to really spend my money on except with my coworkers. After our shifts, we would go to a bar that wouldn't ID for me and would talk about our problems over a plate of nachos and Lone Stars. One night, I had too much to drink and started to vent about everything. I told them about my father's expectations for me to get us out of poverty and how he forced me to get this job because it would make me a lot of money, but I didn't even do anything with the money, so it all felt pointless. My coworkers, who were much older than me, didn't say much because I think they were weirded out, except for one. My one coworker, who was slightly older than me, said he was actually in a similar situation. He told me he was never school smart, but all he enjoyed doing was painting. He knew that he never wanted to do painting as a career, so he became a welder just so he could pay his bills. After a couple of years, however, he realized that he was wasting his money and time. He was just blowing his money on art supplies and food. He had dreams of traveling the world and painting his memories, but was never making enough money to live that dream. So, he told me a piece of advice that changed my life. He told me to make my money work for me. He said he downloaded an app that taught him how to invest really easily, and he just put in the money he let sit in his savings account. Within a matter of months, he already saved enough money to take a week trip to Europe. He showed me pictures of his paintings and they were incredible. I couldn't even imagine that I was making enough money from my dead-end job that could let me see the world. I immediately jumped on it, and my coworker sent me the investing app to download. After that day, I just did the app's investing lessons during my breaks. I would come home and cook dinner, and my dad would scream at me for using my phone at the table, but I didn't really care. I just wanted to make enough money to get out of there. He made me miserable by making me learn a bunch of stuff I didn't need to know and conditioned me to think that a degree would change my life, when in reality no degree secures your future. At least with this, I was learning a profitable skill for myself, and it took almost no effort to learn how to invest. I don't understand why people make it sound super hard. After a couple of months, I made enough money to go on a week trip to Puerto Rico. I didn't tell my dad